had the deepest intake of breath. Haven't done this for quite some time, and I don't know if anyone's going to join in. But we'll soon find out. Yes, we're minutes away from getting started with Talkin. A cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. A couple of things to announce, which we'll do as we get into it. Right, did with the technology. I always try and get it sorted. Right. Well, as always, please do sign off. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're in the States, if you are preparing to make your way to San Diego, or if you are there already, by all means, jump in on the comments. Oh dear me, here we go. Well, since you took, you can buy a good friend of ours who shared it with our channel, something that needed to be talked about and highlighted, because, well, so what I'm going to do is very quickly switch to this format and introduce myself in 30 seconds or so, just so we can just kind of dive in. Why on earth should you I have been to San Diego Comic-Con before. I've been going since 2010. Haven't gone the last couple of years because of the event that I feel really does pull so many people together. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a open door, an open bar to kind of come along and talk about San Diego Comic-Con with myself, and got one or two people who have jumped in already. We've got ourselves SoCal franchise is the phrase that he's come up with. I live in San Diego, 10 minutes away from the convention center. Excited for my 23rd consecutive year. Wow, that's what we're on about. Have I dropped the live link yet? No, I can do that now if you wish. Basically, anyone can join in on today's show. If you've got a webcam, if you've got any kind of device, a phone that point towards, I've put it in the comments in the YouTube chat, and I think I've also got it on a screen somewhere as well. Let's put it up on here. If you want to join in, you're more than welcome. More than merry. So it is a StreamYard event, which means it's a studio that exists on, which means anyone can join. We've got some things to look at, especially when it comes to the schedule, and highlight some things to kind of get really excited about. This year, I'm not going to lie, is incredibly real. For yes, it's something I have built a little bit of a brand around of being an Englishman in San Diego, because at the time when I set up the channel, it was a case of something that I was helping Brits attend San Diego Comic-Con as a major kind of tackle. But we managed to get a lot of people involved, and a lot of people really excited about San Diego Comic-Con. And off the back of that, it's just a bit of a comment. Yes, we are a little bit sort of absent when it comes to what I'm doing online. It is mostly on Blue Sky and Threads and interacting. And to be fair, on Threads, I am getting a little bit too much into the politics. I'm going to be putting a post up once we're done with this live stream, because I'm going to sack the politics off. Anything not related to San Diego Comic-Con as of what, half an hour's time. I'm just going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con, sharing as much as I possibly can about the off sites, about the activations, about the things panels you can get up to, any live updates. It's going to be an awkward year this year. Last year, I did a fair amount in terms of being sat directly in front of my computer, pretty much from door open, if not an hour or so before San Diego Comic-Con open, all the way through to the close of play. And I shared as much as I possibly could. Live drops, anything that was taking place, is something that I kind of put out there. This year, it's not going to be, unfortunately, that live, because I have to take my holidays for the week of San Diego Comic-Con, which means anything that I do will be either while I'm working or after my work hours, which if you kind of add that into GMT and starting my work day, that is a 20-hour day. And I don't think I'm going to quite pull that off. But I am going to do my best to share as much as I can in terms of any changes that's happened to the schedules, any cancellations, anything that's any news that's dropped throughout the course of the evening and in the early morning of while you guys are sleeping, basically get you everything up and running. The great thing about me doing live streams or covering what I'm going to be doing during GMT, it does mean that anything that comes to Hall H, Ballroom 20, and any of the queuing up lines, any of the camping outlets, I can update on live, because it's going to kind of work out nicely to that kind of my time zone here in the UK. We have a couple of people who are joining in. I've got the thing. I'm going to put the banner up on the screen again. If you want to join in, like I say, this is a live open bar to talk about San Diego. We'd love to have you on. We've got two people who are sat patiently wanting to join in. So let's have them on. We have a publisher and we have a panelist joining us. Hello, who's there, and hopefully you can hear me or see me. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me all right?
Have we got any sound?
Is it me, Leonard?
There we go.
Is that better?
Excellent stuff. How are you keeping, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right this morning. How's everyone
doing?
on that end? How you doing, Leonard?
Do we have a delay here?
Oh, maybe, huh?
Is this where StreamYard is giving me grief again? This is where it's...
Are you guys able to hear me?
I'm trying to stream from the moon. That's what the problem is.
I'm surviving. You're very quiet, Michael, but I'm trying to work out if that's me or yourself.
Oh, I'm not talking.
Tell you what, we'll try. We'll introduce Joshua as well, and we'll see what his setup's like.
Okay.
Joshua Waldrop, who is the founder publisher of Ultimate Comics. He's waving. He's saying hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Doing okay. Can you hear me all right?
Good.
Can you hear me?
This is where, as per usual, it's just going to be fun and games on the internet, isn't it?
Leonard, you're the one that's kind of stalling. Joshua and I are just doing just fine. Aren't we, Joshua?
You can hear me,
I'm
Michael?
going to
Yeah, I
once
can hear
again
you.
try and
I can hear you
solve
too.
this going
Yeah.
mobile again. Oh my word!
We're doing fine, Leonard. What? I told you,
You
not
can
to
hear
do
me?
it from the moon. I
Okay,
said, don't do it from
if
the
you can
moon.
hear me,
Yeah,
that's
let it go
fine.
from
We
the
can
moon.
go with that. Well, first things first, we might as well just ask the big question: are you excited about next week? How excited are you? Certainly, as someone who's been before, who's done it before, who's been through a couple of years. I mean, this year, 2026. How excited are you? We'll go with Joshua first.
Oh, I'm plenty excited. I get excited for this every year. This will be my 23rd year, and it's just it gets more exciting to me because I started as just going as a
I'm
comic
getting
fan.
absolute silence. Hello?
Oh no, can you hear me, Michael?
I hear you fine, Joshua.
How about Rob in the chat? Can you hear me? Rob Salkowitz, my old buddy Rob. Let me know if you can hear me, Rob.
Oh, it's Robert. Rob's here. Excellent.
Yeah.
Leonard, you're the only one that can't hear us.
Well.
Oh man, this is fun and games as always.
Let's see. I'm going to
This
try
is
to put
always
something in the
fun.
chat.
Hang on a second. Oh dear. That's why. Hang on a second. I'm getting there. I am getting there. Trust me.
Rob says he can hear us.
Excellent. Excellent. And I'm going to
there we go.
And I'm going to kill.
Oh, there we go.
Always fun. Always fun. Right.
Always. Ah.
I know. I'm getting there.
You're double again.
There's two of you, Leonard.
You don't want two of me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, you don't want two of me. There we go. Right. We'll try that again. Hello there.
Hello.
Right. So
Hello.
Rob's in. He said he's got to run in a minute. Just wanted to say hi. Hello there, Rob. Thank you very much indeed for dropping by. It's great to have you here. We will give this another go, especially when it comes to introducing ourselves.
Before he leaves, I'm on a panel with Rob, actually. My first panel that I'm on at Comic-Con is with Rob Salkowitz.
Oh, fantastic. What's the panel about? Let's do that. That's what it's all about. Let's promote panels and kind of let people know what is going on with panels. What's the panel?
The panel is how to get news coverage. It's Thursday morning, 10:30 to 11:30 in room 10. And it's put on by my longtime buddy, Rick Offenberger, who's the editor-in-chief of First Comics News, which is one of the premier comic book news sites here in the States. Focuses a lot on independent comics, and also the editor-in-chief of an independent comic book company called G-Man Comics, who are celebrating their 100th issue this year, a pretty big deal. And the panel is about trying to help other small press publishers, independent creators, not just comic books, but whatever project they're working on, figure out the best ways and navigate the channels of getting their project, the news of their project, out to the media outlets, and how to promote it and how to gain some traction and kind of help build an audience. It's me, Ed Cotto, Jasa Evermore, Alexander Raymond, Rob, Francis Sky, who's one of the creators from my comic company, Ultima Comics, Chris Squires. It's going to be a good time. And that's Thursday, 10:30 to 11:30. Every year we do it both at San Diego Comic-Con and at WonderCon. And it's always really, a lot of the information gets reset, but every time there's new things that come out, new information. We take Q&A from the audience. So it's always a fun one to kick off the convention with.
That's a murderer's row of talent. I mean,
yeah, seriously, I don't know what I'm doing on there.
I mean,
the check must have
somebody
cleared.
who follows comics and Comic-Con, and comics reportage as best I can. I mean, I think that's the main, certainly one of the main things that I'm sure you'll be covering, which is just that there's so much at the moment, so many disparate voices and so many people trying to catch as much attention as possible in the world of comics reportage, purely because it is such a it is still a niche industry, and it's still a niche interest to many. But then because of that, there are so many people that are passionate about it, and because there's so many people trying to get the word out about stuff. And I'm certain that that's going to be something that's going to be covered on the panel. Is there a way of kind of bringing those voices together so there's a more of a funneled way of getting the best information out that's coming out of the industry?
Yeah, well, that's what the panel talks a lot about. It's about how to make the connections with the people in that space, the reportage, the big sites like Comics Beat, my friend Heidi McDonald, to the growing number of YouTubers, to podcasters, and even to regular traditional media outlets. One of the things we always talk about is if your book or your project has a certain hook about it. It's about we had somebody who came one year, and their book was inspired by this gentleman's granddaughter who had autism, and the superhero protagonist of the book was autistic. And we talked about how you don't have to go just to traditional comic book or pop culture media outlets. You can reach out to groups like autism awareness groups and things of that, where you're not a comic book project competing against other comic book projects for eyeballs. You're maybe the only thing like this in that space, and they're excited to have some representation. So things like that are a lot of what we talk about: how to present yourself, how to package a press release, how to package an EPK, all of that kind of stuff to kind of make yourself look as professional as possible when you're competing with all of these others, and how to kind of cut through and get the attention that you're looking for.
I think that sounds like the perfect San Diego Comic-Con panel, to be fair, because I mean, as somebody who did a panel about how to set up a YouTube channel or how to set up social media when it comes to getting the best voice out there and make it as professional as you can, and especially when it comes to, say, starting off a live stream and not having it go completely and horribly wrong with your audio and visual. You see, it's tips and tricks like that you want to try and avoid.
Yeah.
But I think that's, like I say, the perfect way to do the panel, in that it's actual practical hands-on advice for those people in the room that are wanting to get this kind of information, that will be there with pens and papers, with notepads, and taking practical information on board. I think that's, brilliant. I mean, I'm absolutely down for that. Once again, reminders of the actual time and date. Thursday, which as somebody who's run a couple of panels, is the best day, because then it's not interrupting with the meat and potatoes of the weekend. Thursday, great day to do it.
Oh yeah, I've got some other panels that I'm on that are right in the thick of it. One of the panels is Saturday night, right against the masquerade. So you're absolutely right. Thursday, 10:30 to 11:30 in room 10. How to get news coverage is a pretty advantageous time to kick off the festivities.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for telling us about that. Other than that, I mean, what is your Comic-Con looking like so far? What have you kind of got on the book so far?
Well, so I've got this panel 10:30 to 11:30. Friday, let's see, I got all my information right here.
This is where spreadsheets really come in handy.
Yeah. Friday morning, 11:30 to 12:30, I am hosting a panel called "Don't Call It a Comeback," celebrating 40 years of SLG Publishing. This is SLG Publishing's 40th anniversary. The iconic independent comic publishing company that brought you Jonan Vasquez as Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, Roman Dirge's Lenore, James Turner's Rex Libris, so many more over the years, that really was one of the pioneers of the independent comic space. and I'll be interviewing Dan Votto, the founder and publisher of SLG Publishing, talking about how they got started, or kind of the peaks and valleys of where they got to 40 years and what's coming on the horizon, because they're building towards the future, showing no signs of slowing down. That's 11:30 to 12:30 on Friday. Then on Saturday, I've got 2 panels. The first panel is my company, Ultima Comics. It's Saturday 1 to 2 o'clock, and it's Ultima Comics, bigger, longer, and uncut. We're going to have a lot of the creators that have published with us, that are continuing to publish with us, as well as some people who are announcing new books through us on that panel. And we're going to be showing some of the art, some of the pages from the upcoming books, including and as first time we're telling this anywhere other than on the online announcements, a new book by a new creator named Daniel Seib called Curse of the Wereflamingos, which is a horror tale of plastic lawn flamingos that come to life and start ravaging the community that they live in.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The second panel that night, that's the one I was talking about, is Right Against the Masquerade, Not So Strange Bedfellows, the relationship between comics and pro wrestling. This is a panel I've been able to do for about 15 years, starting at Long Beach Comic Con and then San Diego Comic Con and WonderCon. And it looks at the storytelling archetypes and the theory between comic books and professional wrestling and how they overlap a great deal. People don't often think about it. Again, my buddy Rick Offenberger, First Comics News, Francis Shkowski is on there. Hunter Jackson, who is better known to the world as Techno Destructo, as one of the co-founders of the theatrical metal band Gwar, who also happens to be a comic creator and an independent pro wrestler. He'll be on that panel. And Francis Sky, who is one of my creators, Ultima Comics, and a reporter for First Comics News. He and I have been in the professional wrestling business off and on for the last 25 years or so, starting with a company called UPW here in Southern California, which is the company where John Cena got started. So we kind of got some knowledge in both areas. And then on Sunday, which is our last panel, it is first time we've done this panel, and one that I'm really proud of, because it was really independent comics that got me into comics in my 20s. I didn't glom onto them in my childhood like a lot of people did. I was more of a pro wrestling kid, a cartoon kid. So this panel is Rise of the Independents, the Indie Comics Revolution Revised. And we've got some heavy hitters here from the world of independent comics, past and present, talking about how from like the boom of the 90s to what's going on now with social media and the explosion of small press publishers, how that kind of landscape has changed and what's on the horizon. Dan Votto, again, from SLG Publishing. Eli Schwab from Cosmic Lion Productions, which is a fantastic small press publisher that's really killing it right now. Josh Blaylock from Devil's Due Publishing. Mercy Sparks, one of his premier titles that was a huge inspiration for me in Ultima Comics. My old buddy Dave Dwanch, Hellbrain Productions.
Hey.
He's got titles through Dark Horse, and he was one of the founders of Action Lab Comics, left there before it kind of imploded. My inspiration, Todd Toshioka, the publisher of Snug Comics. He's also my assistant editor, my project manager, my creative guru for Ultima Comics. Michael Dulce, the publisher of Sire Studios. His main title, The Sire, was one of the more prominent independent titles that kind of led to him building a whole company off of it. My buddy and partner, Jay Savage, who is announcing the return in partnership with me. I don't know how that happened, but I'm super excited about it, for Black Line Comics, which was killing it in the early 2010s, had a bunch of amazing titles, was making a lot of waves and starting to move into being able to position their properties in the film industry before things kind of changed with that. And we're revitalizing that. And Mark Bandy, who's a new young up and coming publisher with his label Crimson Sleep Studios. And that's going to be a fun one. Sunday, July 26th from 2 to 3 p.m. in room 24 ABC. And then aside from the panels, I'm going to be chilling for a lot of the time at the SLG Publishing booth in Small Press K-12, helping out Dan Votto and the SLG crew. They've got a new book out called Omwo from James Turner that is just a masterwork. You guys need to check out Omwo. It's absolutely incredible. And they also are going to have one of the first publications that kicked off SLG publishing back in the 80s was a title that Dan Votto created called Samurai Penguin. And it was kind of blew up, one of the first independent titles in the late 80s, early 90s that really gained traction. It really launched SLG into the kind of indie comic zeitgeist. And they're doing a convention exclusive repackaging of the first 3 issues. And why it's the first 3 of the 8 issues is because those 3 issues were illustrated by an incredible artist named Mark Buck, who went on to work on character design for the Star Wars reboot movies, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and really just ascended to Hollywood and was able to kind of live his dreams. Unfortunately, we lost him about 10 years ago. And so that exclusive publication is sort of a tribute in our 40th year, or their 40th year, to Mark Buck, who helped kind of kick off the entire 4-decade saga for SLG. So that's Small Press K-12, the SLG booth. I'll be there most of the weekend, aside from the panels here. And then Thursday night of Comic-Con, if you're around the San Diego and you want to come check something out, SLG has their 40th anniversary after party at the East Village Brewing Company downtown. It's right on the backside of Petco Park. It's free to attend. There's going to be a great food vendor there selling kind of a fusion of Filipino and American food options. Great little brewery, and be there with Dan Votto and a bunch of the other creators, past and present, and fans from SLG Publishing from over the years. So if you're in town, whether you're at your convention or not, you want to stop by, that's Thursday night after the floor closes, 8 to 10 at the East Village Brewing Company in downtown San Diego. So that's kind of what my weekend looks like.
It's when you said the word chilling in there somewhere. That's you are a busy bee, quite frankly. Yeah. This is where I know that we used to have somebody came on that used to help with SDCC Fit, and kind of helping us kind of get into some kind of fitness regime ready for the event. It sounds like you have been working out severely, getting ready for this weekend and this week coming up, and that, I mean, it sounds like an absolutely packed lineup, and congratulations on filling it. Absolutely. I mean, catching up on what you were saying when it comes to about independent publishing, I mean, we're kind of having that resurgence here in the UK as well, in that we don't necessarily feel, we talk about the big two almost as the minors. They're doing their thing, but it's independent publishing where all the juice is absolutely happening, and you could certainly see that coming out of the States as well. So the fact that that's being celebrated is absolutely fantastic, and yeah, it sounds like a cracking week for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. And it's going to be the busiest con I've had. I usually have a few panels. Don't usually have a presence on the floor. But between Ultima Comics, my publishing label, and helping out SLG, who was, for real quick, how I got to where I'm publishing now, I was in my early 20s. My buddy Todd Toshioka and I were working at a pro wrestling company, UPW, and we got to talking about comics. He was working for Image Comics at the time, working for Jim Valentino, and doing lettering, doing production work, writing, whatever else. And we got to talking about comics. I told him I really never got into it as a kid. I wasn't into the superhero thing, really. Nothing really good. I like Batman well enough, mostly the movie, though, and the X-Men cartoons and things like that. I would pick up an Archie digest from the cash register area of the grocery store once in a while, but I never really got into the traditional comics. And he goes, oh, well, there's other stuff out there. And he laid Johnny the Homicidal Maniac from SLG on me, and Kabuki Circle of Blood from David Mack, who was an incredible artist. And it blew my mind. I was like, this is comics now? And it just launched me head on into indie comics fervor. And I never looked back. So all these years later, here we are, Ultima Comics, and I'm helping table with and hosting a panel with Dan Votto at SLG, who's essentially one of the people responsible for me 23 years later continuing to go to Comic-Con and having my own comic label. So it's a real full circle moment. And the Rise of the Independents panel, I'm super excited about because I've pitched that a few years and we didn't get it. It's super tight with the scheduling. But like you said, the main two, I mean, they're both killing. They're always going to kill it. Actually, like if you think about the origins of Marvel Comics, even it kind of started as an independent, comic company before it blew into what it blew into. But there's just, for so many years, I've seen the evolution of Comic-Con where, like you were talking about the how to get news coverage panel, there was spotlights on artists, there was spotlights on publishers, but there wasn't really any, how do we do this? Especially as a writer, I'm a writer primarily. There wasn't any, how do you write a comic script? How do you do that? How do you get into it? And so to see now where it's come from, where it was a little bit gate kept and a little bit protected, to where there's all these amazing, imaginative, creative, independent creators forming their own brands, forming their own labels, putting out incredible books, incredible stories. It's a super exciting time. And I'm thrilled to be able to kind of show a little bit of a spotlight on it at the biggest convention that you can do it at.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I actually want to bring Michael into this because he has been sat very patiently down there at the bottom of the screen. I'll let him lean forward. I'll kind of I'll bring this into like I say, this is an open forum. Joshua, if you need to get off, you're more than welcome. But if you want to stick around, because I do want to talk to you, Michael, about this, because you brought up something there, Joshua, about the challenge of actually getting panels onto the schedule and actually get something sort of listed, because I know, Michael, you've had your struggles in getting panels on in the actual schedule in the past, and I mean, you've got a panel that you're here to talk about, but also I'd like to just very quickly touch on that. What's it been like for you to kind of get those panels? I mean, the panels which Josh was talking, they are kind of very, how can I word this? They are what you think of a Comic-Con panel, as in independent press and also getting press coverage. It's something that's kind of Comic-Con aligned. Your panel is it's about the Expanse. What kind of challenges has it been to get your panels on the schedule?
Well, to be perfectly honest, the greatest struggle was to get on the panel, on the list the first time, because you and I talked about that, and I sent you examples of what we've done. And by the way, thank you for showing this. This is our little advertisement for our panel, right? But the first time was the hardest, and it's like once they know that you're a reliable person, that your panels will be attended and stuff like that, then it's easier. Okay. But you've got to get known. You've got to get known first. Now, for you, Leonard, they know you, right? So, I mean, you've worked with them for a really long time. But how was it with your first time too, for that matter?
I think, like you say, the way that I got into San Diego Comic-Con was first as an attendee, then as a blog host to try and help Brits come across. Then it was as a volunteer with somebody who I love dearly, who unfortunately has now passed on, who used to run the how-to rooms and also Artist Alley for many years. And I think because I had her in my corner, that did help when it came to applying for panels. I was a guest as well, so I kind of was a known quantity in that regard. But when it came to actually submitting my own panels, I had a little bit of advice in getting panels submitted from Crazy for Comic-Con. They helped massively in getting that pitch right, which is basically make sure you have some names which are going to attract some bums on seats. They want people in the room, so that you want to kind of get that kind of juice going. A real snappy kind of one paragraph thing that's just going to hook people who are going to read that schedule. So I got these hints and tips on how to get a panel submitted, and then obviously, because like you say, they knew who I was. I mean, it speaks volumes that the last year that I went, which was 2 years ago, I submitted 3 panels and 2 of them got cancelled straight away, or they got dismissed straight away. And then the third one, I couldn't get guests to finalize, so I ended up having to scrap all my panels, which was really frustrating that particular year. But it speaks volumes that the panels that I was trying to submit, which got cancelled, or the ones that weren't picked up, were the ones that were really difficult to kind of nail down names. And there was a lot of to be confirmed, and that's something that really San Diego Comic-Con and Comic-Con International are not keen on, purely because they want to know that there's going to be guests on the dais, there's going to be somebody there to talk about something. And the panel where I was talking about Miracle Man had a big guest on there who unfortunately had to cancel a month before. I'm so lucky that they said, you know what, we'll keep it going, just as long as you can stand there and talk for 45 minutes, which thankfully I was able to. It is a case of just nailing your pitch. And I think just getting something that's going to catch somebody. If it catches their attention, then it's going to catch an audience attention. And that's where they kind of make that judgment call. Bridging the Expanse. The Expanse is still a big draw when it comes to sci-fi. It's got a very dedicated hardcore fan base, and the fact that you've got some really great names on your panel, I think, really has helped. The title, I mean, I know that we've got the schedule out already, but United by War, Divided by Peace. What is the elevator pitch for yourself for this panel, for people who may be watching now who aren't familiar about what you want to do with the panel?
Well, basically you have these warring factions, and what's interesting about it is that the war between the factions unite the people within the factions. Okay, so let's say within the United States goes to war. We have all this, like World War II, and so you have all these internal factions, but you have this one great enemy, and so we all reunite. Okay, and so during the peace we're divided. But somehow during war, it unites us, right? And so we're talking about all the different factions. We have Earth, we have Mars, we have the Belt, and just how there was all this struggle beforehand during the so-called peace. And then as soon as they all go to war with each other, then they just unite, and it's like, it's us against them, kind of thing. And so we talk about that, and we actually have some experts. Dr. Benjamin Tates is a forensic psychologist. And then we have our, as you can see, we have our warrior person there, Matthew. And so we have somebody, from the Department of War, as it's called now. We also have a couple of people from JPL, the scientists, weighing in, and then how war affects them. And the fact that they have to cut their science and just make weapons or something. Am I still on?
You are indeed.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh no, you're still there.
Okay, good. There. I didn't know.
All right. I'm trying. I think it's because the way that the StreamYard is working, it's just very awkward with the way it's all panned out. I'm trying to get the actual schedule up on the screen because it's. I mean, like you say, it's the fact that you've got yourself. Someone from the Department of War, someone from the psychology end of it, a school of writing. It's tying in the panel to what's happening in the real world, and I think that's where I think CCI saw that appeal of. I mean, that's always been the appeal of the Expanse. There is a show that has so much parallels and so many arcs that lead to where we are right now in 2025, 2026. So I think that's where the appeal came from when it came to so many people sort of putting the panels together and seeing this Expanse panel and seeing seeing everything that's coming together. We've got ourselves some graphics showing up on screen. Is that you, Joshua?
We lost his voice.
And we lost his voice. Oh, hang on a second.
No, I was muted.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know they were coming up on screen. I thought they were loading back into the studio so you could show them later.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Are these popping up on the screen right now?
No, they're in the background.
Oh, good.
I'm
okay.
the one that I'll be the one that brings them on.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm trying still to bring this graphic up because I really want to show this.
While you're doing that, Leonard, you said something very interesting. Is about the guests, and that's the thing. You really wanted, like, it's hard to nail down the quality people that you really want to have on something.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Yeah, one of the problems I've run into with some of the panels, the wrestling and comics one especially, is we started off, it was a little hard to get people on it. Now we have people who have been on it so many years in a row, and we have so many great guests that we end up overstacking it and running out of time. So we had to cut it back some.
But that's good.
I think
when
that's another challenge. Sometimes it's not even when you have too many guests, it's when you have guests that will not shut up.
Right.
I have been to a number of panels where it's a case of you've got to have a strong moderator that's just going to rein it in a bit and let everyone else contribute as well. But there we go. Friday on 8 o'clock. I mean, that's something else. When you kind of got that announcement through that it is such a late programming, were you okay with that? Is that something that was okay with your plans, Michael?
Ideally, I would like to have had a 10 o'clock on Thursday too, obviously, right? The thing is, Friday at 8 o'clock, you're only going to get the super hardcore people because, people are lining up for Hall H and stuff. And then, and people, 8 o'clock, people are either going out to dinner or getting ready to go out to parties and stuff. And so, it's a rough time, but it's still a time. And, their programming goes to 10 o'clock. So there's actually a panel after us. I thought we were going to be the last panel. And so there's a panel after us because I was actually almost kind of hoping that we were the last panel so that we could actually go over a little bit, but they actually have somebody after us. Yeah. So, ideally, like, 10 o'clock on Thursday would have been great. Okay. But but it's still to be wanted. Someone still asked me to dance at the party. Okay. I got not the prettiest person or, the most handsome person, but someone asked me to dance. And so I'm happy to dance. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Well, the wrestling and comics panel was always 8 o'clock Saturday, right up against the DC panel, right up against the Masquerade. So we'd get kind of killed. Get a few people, 8, 12, 15. Then we got moved to Thursday kind of earlier, and it was much better. But this year, so many people are submitting panels. That panel got waitlisted. So we were able to get it after another panel dropped out. It was Saturday, 8 to 9. And we're like, well, we're still at the Comic-Con. We're still, doing the panel. So that's really the important thing. If they put us at midnight, it'd be like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. It's Comic-Con.
Yeah. I mean, someone's going to show up there and, we'll have it, the husband and wives of the panelists will show up there. We've got at least 5 people showing up, so that's good. Yeah.
The first Ultima Comics panel I did at WonderCon. The first one I did to kick it off. I kicked off at the San Diego Special Edition in 2021. They did because they needed to make up for some of the loss in revenue during the lockdown. But the first one we did after that at WonderCon, there were 2 people in the audience. My one panelist's girlfriend and my wife who was filming. I was like, they're never going to let me do this again. Surprisingly, they did. And it's been good ever since. So thank goodness.
I'm wondering if it's also something, because you've got the ability to record the panels, certainly by audio, but certainly if you do a little bit of prep, you can get a bit of video recording as well. To then you take that content and use it and distribute it in your own manner, but then also have it live from San Diego Comic-Con. That cachet of having that event in the bracket. I wonder if that's. I mean, it may be quality, if not quantity, in the audience, but at least you're creating 45 minutes of quality content for people that you can then send out to a dedicated audience after the fact.
Right, and as was the case with that WonderCon panel we did, if you're filming and your camera's pointing towards the dais of the people who are on the panel, nobody watching it after the fact is going to know that it was an empty room behind you. So just don't mention it. This is the first time I've ever mentioned it. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, listen, I'm hoping for all of your panels that it's going to be a packed room. I mean, I can imagine. Certainly, Michael's putting the word out to the various Expanse fan boards out there and Reddit groups out there, and letting people know. I'm certain that I mean, the one thing we always know, the Expanse fans, they show up. So I'm hoping that, Michael, it's a big success for you. And yeah, let's get that back on the screen one more time. Let's let more people have that. It is Friday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. in room 28DE with Bridging the Expanse, United by War, Divided by Peace. I think that's going to be a hell of a thing to take part in. Congratulations on getting the panel, sir.
whoops.
Thank you. And thanks for your help. I remember, Leonard, that you did help me, and that really helped a lot. So that was good. Thank you.
Michael, do you get the press list from Comic-Con?
Who are you talking to myself?
No, he's talking. He asked me a question if I get the press list.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't ask for it. Did you?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop you the well, you may already have it, but the email in the DM here. We're in the private chat, right? If you message Karen, she'll send you the finalized list of all the media that's going to be at Comic-Con. It's something like, it's crazy. It's like 40 pages, thousands of or hundreds of media outlets that are going to be there. Everyone from like the Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Tonight down to blogs and podcasts, like the whole gamut. So it's somewhat helpful getting the word out ahead of time about your panel and whatnot, and trying to get some more notoriety that way.
I appreciate that. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's something I tried when I did my Miracle Man panel, and yeah, I got some a bit of coverage, and I got some people showing up, and I think also for the I did a panel on the British invasion as well, which Bleeding Cool covered. I think it was just because they were rather happy to have a Brit hosting a panel and talking about British comics. But yeah, it is a case of just spreading the word and getting the word out there. And that's why I'm doing this live stream. And hopefully someone's going to watch it and take part. And yeah, give it a go.
Yeah, and I want to echo Michael's sentiments too, Leonard. Thank you for doing this. It was really cool. My wife kind of pointed you out to me. I'm just kind of getting my toe into Threads. I don't really spend a lot of time there, but I'm starting to realize there's a huge, community on there that I've been missing out on. She's more involved in there, and she started seeing your posts, reposting all the panels for Comic-Con and whatnot. And she's the one that told me about the live stream today. I think it's really cool of you to help kind of put a spotlight on the different panelists and the different panels and the different things going on at Comic-Con, and shoot that out, try to help get the word out for everybody. So really appreciate your help and your efforts on those parts.
I appreciate that. When it comes to Threads, I find that there's more of the fans community, and I find on Blue Sky it's more the creators. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of a bridging of the two. Sorry, that really did look like I was scissoring there. No, bridging the two, and kind of either having more come over to one and vice versa. But I think that's where I'm trying to be and share on both platforms and get the word out about panels. I mean, it is a case of, certainly for panels for myself, it's those niche panels away from the big rooms, which again is where all the energy is, because there's so much passion and so much creativity going on, and because there is so much content and there is so much happening and so many rooms open, it is a case of then finding something. I mean, I am also that kind of person that will be more than happy to just wander up and down the halls of the panel rooms, certainly above Hall H and around Ballroom 20, because every single room has got something in, and you only have to go a couple of doors and there'll be your next big passion right in that room. And more often than not, if it is a smaller room, you can just wander in and discover something very special. So no, I'm a big fan of the panel content when it comes to Comic-Con. And
I'd
yeah,
like to
the more
point
I
out
can spread
too
the word,
for
the more I can spread the word, the better.
yeah, that's super appreciated. On that tip, along with the walking the halls, that's a great suggestion. I wanted to point out to anybody who may be watching this, there's this narrative out there by some of the naysayers. Oh, Comic-Con's not about comics anymore. It's all corporate.
Bollocks.
It's all about Hollywood. It's this, it's that, and everything. If you're not, when you get on the floor of the convention center, convention, if you're not going to the small press area and the independent comics area, which is when you first come in, I think it's row section C or D, where it's all red. It's all red banners, red carpeting on the floor. And then small press is kind of over by on the opposite side where you go up the escalators to the sales pavilion. You're missing out on gold, because the independent creators in those two areas, those are my two favorite areas, along with Artist Alley, those three favorite areas every year to go on the floor for Comic-Con. Not taking anything away from all the other great exhibitors and whatnot that there are, but small press and independent pavilion and Artist Alley, you'll find all the imaginative, creative, engaging, amazing independent comics that you could hope to find. And it's just mining for gold in those areas. So make sure to go support the indie creators.
I've yet to go through the schedule this year, but certainly the last 2-3 years, certainly the panel content when it comes to comics has continued to grow. And again, like you say, people who say, oh, it's not about comics anymore. We're talking on the panel schedule for last year, it was 81% comics related in the panels. Anyone who says that Comic-Con's not about comics anymore does not have a sodding clue what they're talking about.
100%.
Simple as. But yeah, any way that I can spread the word, I'm up for that. So yeah. Excellent. I mean, we've got the graphics, and we can spread the word, and we'll get into a bit more of that. When it comes to San Diego Comic-Con this year, and when we have talked about the rise of Comic-Con again from the ashes of when they had that break for COVID, certainly, Michael, for yourself, and as somebody who contributes to the Friends of Comic-Con forum, is the energy and the communication and the relevance of San Diego Comic-Con back up to full speed, or is it something that is now settled into a new normal?
Let me explain it like this, Leonard. The whole world changed after COVID. Okay. I mean, we know that there's no argument there. The whole world. And it's like we took a step down. The whole world took a step down. Comic-Con did it too. It's just like the rest of the world. It changed. And it and I think we can all agree the world didn't necessarily change for the better. And I would say the same about Comic-Con too. Now, having said that too, one of the other interesting things is EW is not doing their party this year. I don't know when they started doing the party, but that party's always been there ever since I've been going since 2007.
Yeah.
Things have changed, and not necessarily for the best, but this year feels like old Comic-Con with certain exceptions. Okay, that it feels like we're getting back there, because that whole reset was really ugly for the entire world. Now we're getting back there. All my friends are excited this year. We're running around like crazy people because our schedules are boom, 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 boom. The old days, it was always this. The best things in the world would be happening at the same time. 20 different great things happening at the same time. This year feels like that. It feels like we're getting back to that. Now, are we going to get back to but everything else has changed too, because money's become an issue. Because and Libby, you remember this, HBO back in the day when Game of Thrones, remember those panels they would have? They would have those incredible swag bags as you left out of there, right?
Sure.
Star Trek Beyond, that world premiere, that swag is what I call sweet swag. Okay. There's no other way to describe it. That was sweet swag. We haven't seen that since, So I don't know. It would be nice if we got back to that. But again, everybody's cutting back on that. In terms of money, the studios, EW, all these people, they're cutting back on this now. So that's not Comic-Con's fault. The panels, the comic book panels, they were excellent. Oh my God! In fact, Josh, I got to tell you, your panel was already on my list anyway, so I was already planning to go. So
really,
yeah, for sure. No, I was definitely going.
That's amazing.
It was on my list. So no, there's still great panels out there, but things have changed. They've changed, and the world's changed, and not in necessarily a good way. But there's still great things out there. Okay, there's still great things out there. So that's just my thing on it. Okay,
I will say this too, because there was a lot of naysayers also. Oh, it's never been the same since the the lockdown and this and that, whatever else. And what Michael was saying is absolutely true. There's been cutting back. I feel like that was also happening before the lockdown, where you saw the swag that a lot of the booths. There used to be you could go to any booth, get a T-shirt. Everyone's giving away T-shirts. The freebie table up in the sales pavilion. One year I got a gym bag that had the Highlander reboot logo. It was amazing. It looked like a $40, $50 gym bag. Baseball caps, whatever. And the freebie table at this point is relegated to advertisements. It's leaflets, and it's not even a lot of actual comics, which you'd sometimes find. A lot of the swag's kind of been pared down at the booths. The EW party, a lot of the parties, because of the tightening of budgets. But coming out of the lockdown, they had the first Comic-Con, the first couple of Comic-Cons. A lot of people didn't go because of finances, because of whatever else. Some people didn't go because they were digging their heels in about not wanting to wear a mask. It's silly. But the first con, the second con, the third con, up till now, coming out of lockdown, all of them, with the exception of the special edition they did in November in 2021, still sold out. Still waiting lists for people trying to get badges. Still waiting lists for vendors trying to get booth space on the floor. So as far as Comic-Con goes, they really didn't miss a beat. I mean, they had to kind of do some recovery because they lost those couple of years of revenue while they were paying for things like the Comic-Con Museum and stuff like that. But as far as the con taking a dip because of the lockdown or whatever else, I mean, they're still packed to the gills. They're still sold out, 130,000 people strong every year, with no signs of slowing down. So they've kind of weathered the storm pretty well.
I think also when we talk about the Entertainment Weekly, we talk about some of the headlining, those things that would then leave the world of CCI and SDCC and go to Variety, go to Deadline, go to all the various pop culture sites. What I've noticed is the comic stuff has now started going towards the comics press. Instead of the con itself being the headliner, it's the content at the con. So, for example, we talk about the big parties. I mean, for me, the one that's kind of always catches my attention is the CBLDF party that is a big organization to support. The smaller fan-based meetups, that's where the energy is, and it's not something that's then going to go out and get picked up by Vanity Fair or Variety or wherever, but the actual excitement on the floor and in the building and in the convention itself. I think that's the difference. It's the fact that all the chatter that I'm seeing on social media, it's within the community of San Diego Comic-Con. It's not then something that's being picked up and being shared further afield. It's the spotlight is now on ourselves and on the fandom and on the convention itself, rather than just being kind of showy for the wider world's sake, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing coming out of the lockdown too. The first couple of years, I think, and then a couple of years since then, Marvel wasn't there with the Hall H panel announcing some new big movie. So even though it sold out and some people didn't come for whatever their reasoning was, it felt when you were there on the floor more like Comic-Con did the year before Twilight blew up, and a large contingent of people started going specifically to camp out for Hall H panels, specifically to see the movie stars, specifically to see Hollywood, because Hollywood wasn't there. There was a lot more room on the floor to move around, to like spend some time at a booth, really get engaged. And it felt like it was kind of back to being focused on Comic-Con. And some of those big Hall H panels are back now. Marvel's back. A lot of the movies are back. There's still people who camp out for Hall H. You have a wristband system now. But that thing about it being more kind of like centered on the fandom, you're absolutely right. It feels like that never went away. And that's still, it's right there with the people who are coming for the Hollywood stuff, the EW, the fandom party afterwards and whatnot. But there's the contingent that's still focused on the comics, the creative projects that are down in Artist Alley, the art of it, the creativity. And they've coexisted, since then, whereas that felt like for a little while, the Hollywood contingent kind of dominated the headlines and dominated the attention of everybody. Now it's a bit more spread out, more evenly focused.
I'm curious then for the pair of you, especially for yourself, Michael, as somebody who, like I say, as friends of Comic-Con, you do look at how the ebbs and flows of the convention happen. I'm curious about what your thoughts about this. San Diego Comic-Con is also reflecting of the industries that it covers. The film industry is in such a strange place in 2026 right now, with the conglomerization of big studios, their own infighting, their own politics, both internal and relating to the current administration. That all seems, it's something that they are dealing with on their own terms and almost seem distracted by. Whereas you get the likes of Apple TV, who are showing up on the Saturday and having what I think is going to be one of their biggest panels in that room. And they're just going, we don't have to deal with any of that. We could just go in there and do our own thing and kind of catch everyone's attention. I think I'm curious Michael, what your thoughts are on that, all the machinations within the studios and the Hollywood system, and like the criticism of San Diego Comic-Con of being focused on when Hollywood took over. Well, Hollywood's distracted at the moment. Does that reflect on how Comic-Con is in 2026 and what you've seen in the scheduling?
Okay, first of all, I think I'm agreeing with Joshua. I don't think Hollywood, honestly, I don't think Hollywood took over. I think our perception, we noticed it more when Hollywood was there, and it became famous. And I remember witnessing something, and I'm going to relate this. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to relate it. I witnessed something where a bunch of bros, one bro was selling his professional badge, and this other bro was buying it because he wanted to see some stars or whatever in there. And so that kind of word gets out. But, the whole point is, like Joshua said, it still sells out. Now, this thing about Hollywood, that Apple is doing a 2-hour thing in Hall H. Did you know that? 2 hours. It's like, and Marvel's only doing 1 hour. The problem with Marvel,
and they're not even covering some of their bigger shows.
Yeah, and the problem with Marvel is not so much as Marvel, because Feige, I think Feige would do it every year, but D23, Disney is the boss. Mm-hmm. And they want to hold that content for themselves over there, and they want to, make a big thing for D23. So there's an awful lot going on there. Yes, there's a whole bunch of consolidation. Yes, a whole bunch of people are really angry about it, and they should be, because the reality is less stuff is going to get made, etc. Now, having said that, too, Hollywood. The nice thing about Hollywood, and remember the Twilight thing, it was nice to see young girls and their mothers there. They had a chance to see something they'd never seen before, Yeah, they're there for that, but guess what? They probably wandered around and saw the other things there too. They would have never had been there otherwise. So I don't see the downside of that. I really, really don't. And I think it was wonderful that it expands out, that we, that people that we don't normally think of, we have a comic book guy and, we have Stewart, doesn't save the universe. That's what we think of. But no, it's much, much bigger. And like Joshua, you're saying, I mean, you know, like X-Men '97. Okay. Oh my God. That is some. Have you seen the first season of that?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, that is some of the best blankety blank writing on television. I don't want to demonetize you, Leonard. So I'm gonna call it. But no, seriously, that is some of the best. I'm watching this thing and I'm going like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's an animated. It just goes to prove it's the writing. It's always been the writing. I've always said this. It's the writing. You know, and in those great comics that you're talking about there you have great writers there. And that illustration, it just pulls you in there. You can't get away from it. It's like, oh no, I got, you know, and so I understand all this, you know, all the naysayers and stuff like that. But honestly, Hollywood's going to shoot itself in the foot a bit, but it'll come back. It always does. You know, these idiots. You know, Warren Buffett had a saying. He invested in a company that can be run by an idiot because at some point an idiot will run it. Okay.
That's brilliant.
No, he said it. So I always remember that. And I always remember, I have another saying. I got to say this real quick. Okay. I had a sergeant. I was in the military and I had a sergeant. As soon as I got there, he said one thing to me. He said one thing to me. He said, it takes one stupid person to start an argument. It takes two stupid people to carry it on. Don't you be that second stupid person. I remember that. That was words of wisdom from those old-timey sergeants, you know, from back in the day. And that was some of the best advice. And I always try to remember that advice. And so the Warren Buffett thing too. So it's just something to remember. Sorry about that. But seriously, am I wrong though? I mean, X-Men '97. Come on, jeepers creepers. I mean, that writing on that show is just phenomenal.
Tremendous. And to echo your sentiments, I remember after the Twilight thing kind of blew up, you know, Hall H and Hollywood's taken over. Kevin Smith said that in one of his panels. He mentioned Twilight and some of the people started booing, and he was like, "No, man, we're all here because we're into a thing. We're geeks about something. So don't be tight about it now because there's other people who are in a different demographic who are into a thing and they're here because they're geeks about that. Like it's no different than us. And we should be welcoming them because, like you said, it'll lead to them getting into other things." My argument about Hall H, my argument about the it's not about comics anymore is what dominates Hall H? Usually Marvel movie panels, DC movie panels, things like that, which are all based off of what? Comic book IP. And what happens whenever one of those movies hits? Comic book sales go up. So it's distills right back down into comics. And as far as Hollywood's, you know, dying or Hollywood's this and that, how's that going to affect Comic-Con? Look at Obsession. Look at some of the movies that are coming out. The same thing's happening in Hollywood, I believe, that's happening in comics, which is that the paradigm that we've been used to and all the big wigs up top are crumbling aside. That doesn't mean the industry's dying. That means it's making room for independent creators to come and take those spaces. The Ultima Comics catchline that we always say is independent is the new mainstream. That's in comics, I believe, and I think that's where Hollywood's headed too. So I think Comic-Con's going to be fine regardless.
Yeah, agreed. We've got ourselves joined somebody who is a good friend, and it's great to have him joining us, especially for a panel that he's put together, or a session that he's put together that's not necessarily in the Comic-Con schedules, and there's a very good reason for that, and we'll talk about that. Patrick A. Reed is joining us. Hello there, Patrick. How are you?
Hey, Patrick.
Right, sir. Hello, everyone.
Where are we finding you in a convention center?
I am at the airport. I literally deplaned. I picked up my baggage and I walked out front and signed on to the Wi-Fi in order to log in and chat with you. So,
in that case, we're happy to have you, and quite frankly, very impressed considering the airport Wi-Fi. Congratulations.
Well
done.
Mostly, you know, I feel like the moment I touch down, I might as well start working. It's San Diego week now, so like go straight.
I mean, you are always a busy bee. You are always. I mean, we've talked about Joshua's schedule this time round, and good grief. I mean, but I know that you are always got yourself a full lineup. But there's sort of a panel that I know, or a session that you're putting together. Can you talk to us about hip hop, please?
I mean, certainly, always, for hours at a time. So since 2012, I've been doing the Hip Hop and Comics Cultures Combining panel at Comic-Con and at other shows, and as a series of like individual pop-ups. We did one at the Louis Vuitton space in New York in association with them. We did one at the New York Public Library. We did a 2-day festival at the University of Oregon. And this has sort of been the primary drum I've been beating for the past decade plus, is that hip hop and comics are innately connected. Hip hop was built out of available elements when it started in the 70s in the South Bronx, and the most exciting and thrilling elements that people had accessible to them. And so the visual aesthetics of hip hop were drawn largely from comic books, after school TV, the kung fu and genre films that you could see like 3 for $1 in Times Square, the comic strips in the newspaper, Schoolhouse Rock. I mean, these are all of the elements that really helped found hip-hop culture, visuals, and the overall aesthetics. So it's been a really, about 15 years ago, I would say hip-hop and comics, and people would be like, oh, like that Wu-Tang comic from the 90s? And I'd be like, well, no, not really. There's a lot more to this conversation. And thankfully, the world has caught up. But what that means is that we get a chance to do it bigger and better. So this year, in addition to the panel at 4:30 on Saturday at Comic-Con, we're doing a 2-day off-site pop-up at Mixed Rounds Cafe in North Park.
Wow.
Where a lot of the performers and visual artists and people who are coming into town for Comic-Con, we wanted to do something a little more community-based that didn't necessarily require a badge, that gives the people who don't necessarily have access to Comic-Con, give them a little bit of this flavor and excitement and stuff. So we have on Friday and Saturday from 11 to 4, we have a number of DJs, performances, live art, drawing, pop-up art gallery of hip-hop and comics art, both from exhibiting artists and stuff from a couple of individual collections going back to like the Kid and Play comics and the KRS-One book that Marvel did, with a piece of Kyle Baker art from that book, classic animation art. So we wanted to basically take this and, in addition to doing the thing at Comic-Con for the Comic-Con attendees, which is very much the root of this, really do something that is a little more community-based, because I have such a great love for San Diego and the Southern California community, and it's such a thriving artistic, creative community. There's so many DJ crews and so many local street artists and muralists and painters who are world class. So many people who are coming to Comic-Con, and Mega Ran is going to do
Mega Ran,
Friday.
my boy Mega Ran.
Kwame is coming through. Wild Child from Loot Pack, Murs. Like a number of pretty high level folks are supporting this and really enthused to be taking it bigger and better this year.
Wow. Number one, that sounds absolutely incredible. And number two, it kind of feeds back to what we've been talking about previously about the challenge of getting certain content on the San Diego Comic-Con schedules, because you had a run of that panel being a mainstay at San Diego Comic-Con, and then I believe it was last year or the year before when
it has been on the San Diego panel. It's been on the San Diego schedule consistently since 2012. I have Comic-Con International at both San Diego and WonderCon. This has been a staple of the programming, and the staff and volunteers have been incredibly supportive. I will give Comic-Con International credit for recognizing this and the importance of this conversation long before many other places. I've had a lot of problems with ReedPop for New York Comic-Con. But that's an entirely different story, and ReedPop is a very different organization. Comic-Con International is still, it's a arts nonprofit. It has a charter. It is largely volunteer-based, and they really, in their charter, their mission is to support the creative arts, and that's why you get the guests at Comic-Con. They have to be the only guests that Comic-Con covers any costs for, by the terms of their charter, have to be the people in comics, animation, science fiction, fantasy, what they defined in their initial charter as the creative arts. And New York Comic-Con and Emerald City and C2E2 and the Reed Pop shows, they're great, but they are part of a large corporation, and their fundamental goal is not to elevate the culture. Their goal is to make money by doing fun things. And so it's a very different set of rules. And therefore, I've had a lot of trouble trying to get this program on their schedule at New York for the last few years, because they're a business, and therefore they understandably give priority to the people who are exhibitors, to the people who are dropping product, to the people who are who are bringing the big number ticket sales and have the biggest names attached to them. And that is not what I do. What I do is I it makes sense to do things in New York because New York is the home of hip hop and the home of comic books. But at the end of the day, they're not going to sell more tickets because I am doing a hip hop comics program there. They are going to better speak to the communities that my topic represents, and that is not their priority. Their priority is they're a business. So, great. I understand those are the rules. And here at San Diego, I've never had any issue with anyone. They've been nothing but supportive, and in fact have really done so much to elevate this conversation, placing it on the front of their app and their website on a number of years. Like they've really gone out of their way to recognize the importance of this and help promote it as an essential piece of Comic-Con's mission. And for that, I could not be happier and more grateful.
Michael, you said you wanted to say something, mate.
Leonard, could I ask Patrick a question real quick?
Go for it, of course.
Yeah, Patrick, have you been in contact with Fan Expo, their whole organization, or LA Comic-Con, any of those?
I have. The fundamental issue is that, none of these conventions cover costs for panel organizers. They, the for-profit ones pay the guests to come in and sell tickets. Comic-Con International, they provide, as a nonprofit, they provide the expenses for their special guests. But this is not something that makes money. So unless I can find a way to get sponsorships or things, this is all done out of pocket. And in fact, this 2-day pop-up here outside Comic-Con this year, we're currently running a GoFundMe because I had a sponsor for this off-site event that ended up dropping out at the last minute. And we were faced with either, we have these people engaged, we have the venue, either we could kill it or we could push ahead and say, let's see if there is actually the community support for this that we feel there is. If we're doing this for the community, rather than me taking it as egocentric and saying, well, I don't want to ask for money, which was my initial impulse. I talked with MERS. In fact, MERS basically set up a GoFundMe and turned it over to me saying, this is important. You've been doing this out of pocket at your own expense for years. You don't make any money off this. And you are not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for us. You are promoting the artists. You're promoting the creators. You are elevating them and cross-promoting by bringing all these people together. You're creating friendships and expanding the community. And he basically gave me the come to Jesus talk of no, you've been doing this for years. You don't back down now.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. So we kicked off a GoFundMe, and it's being we got a few low-level sponsors on board, and we've had a ridiculous amount of support. But that's the only way I can do these things. If I can do an off-site event at Fan Expo or something, then absolutely I will do this anywhere and everywhere I can. But also, I'm a museum curator and a pop culture historian and a journalist, and those are my quote unquote paying jobs, and unfortunately, none of those things happen at a level where I can afford to spend thousands of dollars putting on a hip hop event somewhere, or flying
I was
myself
about
to a
to say
convention.
there's a
Yeah.
finances thing there.
Yeah, it's the reality of the thing. So
Fair enough.
You know, Patrick, I'm glad you mentioned something. It's something my wife and I have been talking about a lot lately with all these conventions that pop up and the fan expos and the this and the that. Fan Expo just ran Anaheim last month, special edition in Anaheim, to try to help boost VidCon, which is what they also own now. And we were talking about the differences between all of these other conventions, because what you see that's a commonality with all these other conventions is they primarily promote the big movie stars, TV stars that are brought in to do photo opportunities. Like, spend $100 or $200 to get a personalized photo with them, where you go into the back, take a little stand-up photo and all that kind of stuff, because that's how they're generating their money. Why? Because they are for profit, and San Diego is a nonprofit organization. So there's a distinct difference. A lot of people don't think about it that way, but there's a distinct difference in a company or a convention that's putting something on to further a mission statement versus a convention that's putting something on to further their profit and loss statement.
yeah, and I mean, Comic-Con also is in an incredibly fortunate position in that Comic-Con sells out because it's Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Comic-Con does not sell out tickets because of a single guest that is announced, and they are in that position. So is New York, but New York still needs to, the Reed Pop shows. They're in a similar position in that they know they can sell a certain number of tickets. It doesn't matter if they announce this wrestler or this actor. It won't necessarily move that needle, but what it will do is it moves the needle in terms of their corporate sponsorships, in terms of their partnerships, in terms of them being able to expand into different territories. And so they have a vested interest in making sure that they always pay the biggest stars to come out so that they can use them for marketing. Because at the end of the day, those conventions, ticket sales are actually a drop in the bucket in terms of their profit. They are part of a larger thing and ongoing sustained growth. And again, that is the business that they're in, which is great, and that they choose to do that in a way that promotes the comic culture that we're all part of. I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy to see the convention scene growing and having all of these different complementary business models.
Yeah.
So I don't want to appear as if I am ever I think that the fact that there are a bunch of for-profit models out there with Fan Expo and with Reed Pop and with the I'm spacing out, but the ones who do Rose City and Awesome Con and there's so Nerd Street with Ben Penrod's thing. There's so many different companies that are doing this and doing really great events and elevating the culture for everyone. The fact that there are conventions in so many cities now around the country is kind of a drag because I need to very carefully pick and choose which ones I can afford to go to. But it also means that there is an awareness and exposure of these topics that I never imagined when I was a teenager. And maybe there'd be, if you were lucky, there'd be a show about 70, 80 miles away that you could drive to once a year that would be in a hotel lobby.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it says something to your point about the discussion on a larger level. Like you said, for-profit, non-profit, doesn't matter. Really, it's a distinction, but there's so many of them, every weekend, some of them multiple in one weekend. WonderCon was the same weekend, I think, as New York Comic Con or one of the other big cons, FanCon or something like that. But
WonderCon, C2E2,
yeah.
MoCA, the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Art in New York. I think those were all the same weekend this year, and it was a drag because, two shows that I love to go to, WonderCon, which I need to go to because that show is such a nexus for the work that I do. It's really been one of the pillars of the sort of hip hop and comics community that I've been building over these years, and that meant that I wasn't able to be at MoCA in New York, and I live in New York. I couldn't go to the local art-based convention that weekend because, that's what, as a collector and as a fan, that's the place where you get to actually go and interact, and it's very, very artist-driven, very community-driven. Wonderful, wonderful show thrown by the Society of Illustrators. And again, it's not a for-profit thing.
Yeah.
But I had to be on the other coast out in Anaheim, which, I mean, who's arguing? I don't mind being in Anaheim.
Yeah.
But,
Worst places.
But there are these tough choices that you have to make when the schedule gets so cluttered.
Yeah, but like you were saying too, there was a narrative for a while that was starting to kick up about like, oh, the nerd boom, the geek culture boom is dead, it's dying off, it's had its time. But I think when you see all these conventions happening every weekend and more popping up all the time that seem to be thriving, whether they're for-profit, non-profit, I think it's saying the opposite. I think it's saying that the geek culture boom, the nerd culture boom isn't a boom or a fad anymore. It's just part of the culture now. It's woven into the culture, and it's not going anywhere. Because, I think when we couldn't have imagined 20 years ago there being one of them aside from San Diego, let alone multiples every weekend.
Yeah, I think when they talk about that nerd culture boom, I think it's just more a case of the spotlight from the mainstream media that's now diverted to other things. Because quite frankly, there are other things to distract everybody's attention nowadays, and I think we're all incredibly distracted by everything that's happening. But our culture has always been here. It's always been thriving. It's just a case of just letting everybody know that it's still here.
Yeah.
I am going to start kind of wrapping things up because I think I wanted to do a catch-all episode, but it looks like I might have to do another one tomorrow and possibly one on Tuesday as well. And we'll talk about hints and tips, and we'll talk about schedules and all of that and everything. But we've talked about panels, we've talked about the struggles, the challenges, and also the rewards of getting those panels out. Very quickly, Patrick, because I am going through the schedules and I just want to try and get up on the screen. Tell us about the panel that you've got, room, dates, where you at?
Okay, boy, so we are...
How many have you got?
This year, I'm not sure, because I mean, we're, 4 days out from the start, and this is the point where all of a sudden everyone realizes that they're down a panelist. Or
this is the Patrick Reed I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm at the point where I believe I'm on a panel on Thursday evening. There are 2 panels on Friday that I might be on, one of which involves me being in 2 places at once, at the convention center and also up in North Park for this hip hop comics pop-up I'm doing in the morning.
Oh, man.
And then Saturday morning, I'm doing the promotional panel for my forthcoming Spider-Man book, which I'm greatly excited about. It's called Spider-Man Total Universe. It is close to 900 pages and close to 9 pounds. It is the first ever fully licensed and approved by Marvel comprehensive history of Spider-Man in comic books from 1962 to 2025. It is the big holiday coffee table book of the year. It's from Hachette from Black Dog and Leventhal. They are best known for doing the Taylor Swift all the songs and Prince all the songs and Stanley Kubrick all the films, like these giant, really beautiful coffee table encyclopedia books. And
I have the Stanley Kubrick and the 2 Star Wars books, and they're currently upstairs in the attic, and they're giving strain to my house. I know exactly how heavy and those big things are. I do like the fact that you describe the stats for that, and the look on Joshua and Michael's faces just speaks volumes about how big that thing's going to be. I can't wait.
It comes out in September, and I knew in theory the size and the scale of this because, I wrote it, and I had to also choose all of the image selections. So every single issue I wrote about was like, okay, this page, this panel, this panel, this panel, these are the image selections. It was 4 years of work. It's and not insubstantial work. But when the first advance of this arrived about a week and a half ago, I was in no way prepared for how much it was going to weigh and what it would feel like to actually take this thing out of a box. But amazing book comes out in September, Spider-Man Total Universe, John Romita Jr. cover art. It's it's unbelievable. And so I'm promoting that at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Then Saturday evening, we're doing the Hip Hop Comics panel, 4:30 p.m., room 25 ABC, with a number of high-level MCs, DJs, comic creators, animators, street artists, graffiti artists, and even a couple of people from the dance world, because that's one of those other elements of hip-hop culture that drew a lot from comic and nerd culture in terms of interpolating martial arts moves and poses. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. Sunday, I'm going to be attending the Kirby and Ditko panels because that feeds into the museum work I do. I curated the Jack Kirby show last year at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles, and that's getting ready to announce where it's going next. And then I have a comic culture and museums panel in the afternoon in 25 ABC, where we talk about how comic culture is not only moving through the world of conventions, it's also being more recognized by institutions throughout the world, and how pop culture exhibitions, and especially comic and animation art, are really becoming one of the big segments of the museum industry now. I think that's all the PR. If there's more stuff I forgot, or stuff that I'll find out in the next couple days that I'm doing, I'll make sure to drop you a line and tell you.
The fact that you managed to pull that off on Airport Brain is quite frankly staggering. So, no, listen, what I'm going to do is, after this, I'm going to go through, if you can send me as much as you possibly can, Patrick, I will pull threads, Blue Sky thread together, and I will promote all of that. Likewise with yourself, Joshua, and likewise with yourself, Michael. I'll basically promote anyone who's watching this now. If you've spotted a panel that you feel that needs to be a spotlight on, share it with me. I'll put a created post together. Let's get as much eyeballs on some of these amazing content creators and this fantastic content available at San Diego next week. And the fact that I'm not there is absolutely killing me. I'm not going to lie. I have mentioned on a number of occasions the reasons why I'm not going. But for those that are going, you are in for a hell of a ride. It's going to be packed to the gills, as we've talked. I mean, we've just talked to 3 people on the in this live stream, and the amount of amazing stuff that you're going to be able to go and see is just incredible. I want to say thank you to Patrick for somehow getting one of the best solid video streams I've seen out of an airport, which is usually a black site in the best of occasions. How the hell you've done it, I've no idea.
Remember, it's only Sunday, so like the San Diego Comic-Con traffic isn't arriving at the airport yet and stealing all of the Wi-Fi. It's pretty deserted here, so I have it all to myself.
Leonard, you're breaking up.
That's what you get for making fun of airport Wi-Fi.
Leonard's on the moon. He's lying to us. He's really on the moon. That's why he's having so much trouble.
What is going on here?
Oh, there you
You're
go. You're
back,
back.
Leonard.
Okay, there you are.
Oh, there
Yeah.
he is.
What is going on with my connection now? Ridiculous.
Were you not aware that you were black the whole time? Like you were not on screen for most of this live stream?
Now.
We'll speak later. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.
Just
Thank you so
say
much.
bye-bye.
Leonard.
Bye, Leonard.
Great to
Thank
meet you
you.
Guys.